And I think there's a snobbishness with reading books. They are a bit outdated. They're a little bit like playing the spoons and tap dancing and the theatre. They were good once, but things have moved on.
The head's not quite on the right place. That's his little issue that he's got to work on for the moment.
My apartment smells of rich mahogany.
Look, I'm all for innovation, and I advocated putting a scrum half in the line out. It sounds great, but it's bollocks idea, really.
Hello and welcome to Under the Sticks, a podcast brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby, where we will attempt to deliver. Actually, well, we always deliver. We come through in our promises. Half-baked opinions served up as real rugby analysis. My name's Andy McGeady. We're going out live on the Pro 14 social channels tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Do not adjust your sets or your radios. It is Thursday. It's not Monday. We had to do a bit of a change of plan this week at the last minute, and then we said, you know what? We'll go out on Lions night. And what a day it was. We will get to all of this. Joining me tonight, we have Mr. Paul Williams. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well. How are you, gents?
I'm very good. I'm very excited. There's a bit more going on, I think, than we thought might happen today. So it's going to be good. Sean Holley, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Excited too. I wanted to be on a Thursday, mid-Rainbow Cup, Lion selection. Very different viewing of Lion selection for me today. Normally, I said before, I get excited with my mates in the pub. We do a sweep, and this. I was on the golf course, missing putts, listening to Lee McKenzie. So yeah, but I'm good.
That sounded like
Brown.
Lee McKenzie. If you're out there, it's not your fault that he was missing the putts. He was just missing the putts.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't just Lee. The whole thing was like, well, I watched Game of Thrones in less time.
Wow, the boots are getting stuck in early. How are we doing tonight, folks? We get Ian Gilbert there because for you regulars here, hi from Madrid. Ollie Hughes, hey guys. Michael Jenkins, as always, from Pembrokeshire, West Wales. Howell Davis. Fiona's Galway laddie. Very happy already about Bundy Aki making it in to the squad. We will touch on the Rainbow Cup later on. We said we have Martin and I on. Well, this is Lions night. He's still on the list. He's been bumped, okay, but he is coming soon. I had the chat beforehand the show. He is coming soon, so we'll get to that. But it is Lions night, so we're going to have an hour of meaningless preamble first, in keeping with how this went today. We'll get this out of the way. Jesus. They drained that one, and it was infuriating to watch. But do you know what? They have the contract.
How did you watch it, Anne? On what source did you watch it?
I was watching it. I was here at my desk. I'd scheduled an early lunch for myself, so I said, right, grand, I'll stick it in the laptop here beside me, and I could have my early lunch. And like almost an hour into it, from 11:45, you still haven't got the squad, and I was spitting. I had it on
the Lions. I was literally on the golf course. I had it on the Lions official Twitter or Instagram, so it was coming through my phone. And what was interesting was the live feed at the bottom, the comments.
Yeah.
But people were like, just get on with it. Oh my God.
I felt sorry for the players, I do, because I was nervous watching it, right? I was feeling not sick, but a bit like, oh God. And I don't know why, because it's not that important, but I felt quite anxious. And then you think, God, if you're one of those boys sitting in front, you've got it on Twitter, waiting for an hour and a quarter for the biggest moment of your career. It's like being waiting to be sentenced, but an hour, 20 minutes later in a court, waiting to know whether you're dying or not. It's awful.
And we had this beautiful moment where after the squad was announced, they phoned up Jamie George, and he calls them out and then straight away saying, lads, you kind of dragged that out of it, didn't you? No. It was horrible here watching it. Yeah. But it was. At least he's in, and we won't, like, everyone's seen the squad by this stage. So we'll, Adam in the background, pull up some of the comments around people, get them in. We'll touch them, I think, during the show a bit rather than leave them to the end, guys, because there's so much to talk about. There's a lot of surprises, surprise ins, surprise outs. The thought process behind it, we'll figure some of this out, and then later on we will get to our own Lions 15 at the very end, where we'll take turns. Michael Jenkins, I can't repeat what I was shouting. Michael, if like me, you had something else scheduled coming very, very fast, that was not good. Here's the squad. So we have in the background Sam Simmons and Jack Conan are new. Talupi Falatau, Justin Tipperick, Hamish Watson, Tom Curry, Johnny Hill, Ian Henderson, Ty Byrne, Courtney Laws, Maro Itoje, Alan Wynne Jones, Jamie George, Luke Cowan Dickey, Ken Owens, Rory Sutherland, Andrew Porter, Wynne Jones, Marco Vinapola, Xander Ferguson, Tig Furlong, and in the backs, Liam Williams, Stuart Hogg, Anthony Watson, Louis Rees Zamit, Joan van der Merwe, Josh Adams, Chris Harris, Bundy Aki, Robbie Henshaw, Alec Daly, Dan Bigger, Finn Russell, Owen Farrell, Gareth Davies, Ali Price, and Connor Murray. So it was good. It was good going through it. We have a graphic ready of who we thought some of the big surprise ins or outs, but honestly, I could have put a load of names in there, Sean. Like it was a really interesting squad announcement.
Yeah. I think I'll wait for later for our surprises, because we'll reveal them. I don't think our surprises are any surprise, but at least the mainstay, the surprises aren't the other way, I don't think. So, the shoe-ins are in, if you like. So thank goodness, we got Dan Bigger, Robbie Henshaw, who was so fantastic in the Six Nations, as was Tig Byrne, Furlong coming back to form, Conor Murray coming back to form. Watson was one of England's best players, and then Alan Wynne, common sense. Whether you think he might be slightly coming over the hill, it would have been a travesty had Alan Wynne not been picked as captain because of a list of criteria and then who was up against him. So, from that respect, and then obviously people like Falatau, Maro Itoje, despite his indiscretions in the Six Nations, we need him. And people like Tipperick. And a big call for Hamish Watson, who had a great Six Nations. So he's got in. And I think Sam Simmons is not a surprise. I think if you watch the English Premiership regularly, the surprise is he's not in the England team, and this says a lot. And perhaps the overriding thing with all the experts, everyone's an expert today, aren't they? No matter what your credentials, that I've read, make no bones about it. Gats has been the best international rugby selector for years. He doesn't take this sort of thing lightly. And what will materialize on the tour will be some of these. We'll look back and we go, do you know what? Gats was right, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Do you know, that's what my big takeout from it. Because when I think, talk about credentials, I haven't got any, but we always look like we're picking all-star teams. If in the basketball, who were the most popular players, who were the best players with the biggest names and the biggest shoe deal and the biggest wages. But Gatland's picked a team there to beat South Africa in a Lions tour. And those selections like Jack Conan, I mean, we'll come on to it later on about whether he's a big surprise or not. But it just shows you when you're an elite coach, you're not just picking these big glorified marquee names. You're picking boys to do a job, and a very specific one. And you can see it in that DNA of that squad he's picked with players like Conan, and he's picked some big lumpy carriers in there in case things get stinky early on.
You see, Gats, the difficulty is in making the ballsy decisions. Gats has proved that he has evolved teams during his tenure. Now, even though this is over a period of, well, you could argue since 2009 when he was forwards coach.
Yeah.
He's been evolving the Lions squad. So
Yes, he has.
The player of the tour last year, Jonathan Davis, even though he came back to a bit of form in the Six Nations, been omitted.
Yeah.
So he's not afraid to make those hard calls. I go back to the Brian O'Driscoll thing in 2013, and leaving out Johnny Sexton. Like you say, there's no room for emotion in this, and it's probably hard facts. It's a lot of watching. It's gut feel with him. And he's prepared to put his neck on the block, whether we agree or disagree.
That's right. And just the other thing that's quite interesting, sorry, Andy, just one more thing that's interesting about seeing this squad is that, of course, there is no long-term issue to consider with the Lions. So it doesn't matter how old Jack Conan is. It doesn't matter how old anybody is. All you're thinking about is the next 12 weeks. After that, they can all retire, and it doesn't make any difference to Warren Gatland. You're picking a team for 3 months. So there's no succession plan. There's no worrying about, is he going to be captaincy material? It's who's the best for the next 10 weeks. If you are, you're in.
Hugh Jones, marry me. Very happy with the Scots pick. Slightly harsh and Gray not making it. I'd like to point of order here. 8 Scots are in this squad, right?
I think that's a good number.
If you want to say that Gray makes it, you need to take at least 2 Scots out to make that point, right? Because having 8 Scots in this, and look, don't get me wrong, the Scots were fantastic, and I think each of them individually, I can make a case for, I think, all of them. None of them are massive surprises here. No. The Gray, I think there's a context around the Gray in terms of the second row discussion, which we will get to. We'll definitely get to later on. But Hugh Jones, marry me. That's an amazing, 8, 9. Okay, Stephen Sheridan. If you asked me a week ago to pick a back row, I would never have went with this. But looking at it, I actually love it and can't wait to see the team picked from this lot.
There's so many things, isn't there? And personal opinions. So I'm worried that there's 8 Scots in there. If I'm honest, they finished 4th. Now, I know England finished 5th, but over the last 4 years, England...
I was going to say, England have about 72 players in there, and they lost.
There is a
reverse triple crown.
There is of course, and you can have that argument, but, perennially, England are thereabouts. Scotland always finish 4th, 5th. And so there's clearly a Greg... Steve Tandy influence here because they see them day to day. And do you know what? The master stroke might be, like we think back to 97 when you had Wally and Tom Smith, our left field. Wouldn't it be great? And no real disrespect to the Scottish national team, but let's see Hamish Watson in amongst, let's face it, better players. They wouldn't be in the Lions if they weren't better players. However, on the flip side of that, if Hamish Watson was Welsh, would he get in the Welsh team before Josh Navidi?
Very good question.
It's different, right? Because I think he's competing against Tipperick and not Navidi.
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
Tipperick, when he grows up, could be as good as Hamish Watson. That. So.
Don't start.
I think Josh Navidi has missed out, not for Hamish Watson or Tipperick. He's missed out for Courtney Laws or Tyke Byrne.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
The utility Laws.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
In fact, you could argue it might even be Hill. So we'll get to the second row one. There's interesting dynamics in the selection between the locks and the back rows. We're going to get there really soon. Do we want to talk? Let's talk Jonathan Sexton. Okay, so the fly half selected in the squad: Dan Biggar, Finn Russell, Owen Farrell. Okay, I've listed Farrell last because Farrell will be closest to the centres than the other two. If it comes to it, wouldn't be a major shock. And today, in the sort of post-announcement interviews, Warren Gatland was questioned about Sexton, and he did lay it fairly clearly that, look, we wouldn't have the confidence about him getting through a big physical tour. And you know what? I'd be of exactly the same mind. I don't think he was ever going to go for that reason. You couldn't rely on him for that length of time, and that's no slight on him and his bravery and whatever else. I've said it before in this pod, fitness and staying injury free is a skill, your body has it. Sometimes your body doesn't has it, and he's at the stage in his career where that's how a player. How you said it yourself. You're not looking long term with this squad. You're looking for the next 12 weeks.
That's it.
That's it.
And the other thing is, it's not like Sexton is performing at a level where that risk is acceptable. So say if he was playing at the level of Dan Carter and he might only play one game, then you'd take him. But he isn't playing any better. That's certainly not better than Dan Biggar. And he's, Finn Russell, there's that risk over, overplaying or whatever it might be. We know exactly what Owen Farrell can do. I don't think Sexton's playing better than any of those guys. So I don't think it's a big shock that he was omitted at all.
So can I then give you my theory?
Yes, let's have it.
He arrives out, there's 2 tests to go, and he's on the bench in 1 and he starts the final test.
Could easily happen.
I think in the world of things that could happen, that is not far away. Anyway,
I was playing tennis before this, and I said to the guys up in the tennis club who aren't that into rugby, I said 5 of that tour probably won't even make it on the plane because they'll be injured. Right, with the rugby that's left to play, there'll be 4 probably won't even get on there. So
that's interesting. Yeah, 5's big, but how many of them will play a lot? That's the thing. But the guys in the big
you could easily lose 3 or 4 players before they've even put on a blazer.
Yeah.
So
there's with Johnny McGeady, carrying knocks, history of injuries.
Yeah,
there's a case there. They would have factored all this in for sure.
Yeah.
So we've it was good stat out. We're looking at the squad as a whole. Russ Petty is always a good follow when it comes to things about rugby and stats. The percentage of the initial Lions squad aged 28 or older, 73% in 2021, 37% 2017, 30% 2013, 62% in 2009. So this is an old squad. We have some elderly humans here already.
Yeah.
Alan Wynne-Jones is there. Ken Owens is there. There are some people who've been around the block, and it's interesting. It's interesting when you look at that as a squad as a whole, Sean.
It is interesting. It is interesting, and I'm surprised how low it was in the others.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the exact stats. I'll have to ask Russ Petty this, but I'm pretty sure from my coaching days when recruiting and developing teams, an average squad age of about 27, 28 was what you were looking for.
Right.
And I'm sure it was around that. So again, look, Ken and Alan Wynne boost the average up to 28 today. Take those 2 out and maybe they'll be slightly different. But no, again, it'll be factored in. I think experience in South Africa is a big one. Having played and coached there, it's a different experience. It's not necessarily one for first timers or newbies, although a lot of these players will have been over there with clubs or internationals and so on. But having said that, it's still a place I think the Lions believe they can go and win. Let's think of the Springboks now. They haven't played international rugby since the World Cup final, is it? Something like that?
At all, yeah.
At all. That counts for a lot. Our boys are pretty battle hardened, even though they don't play together. There's combinations there. There's a lot of Lions together. And they've gone through a pretty brilliant Six Nations and locked heads. The domestic competitions, they've been rattling on. You've got to fancy your chances, haven't you? I would say.
Yeah. Fiona's a Galway laddie. The question is, where is Henshaw playing? I believe he's better at 13, but it really depends on the teammate. That's a great shout. Ian Gilbert, Henshaw at 13, Farrell at 12. Could happen. It would not. Once I saw Bundy picked.
Yeah, what's coming.
I think Bundy and Henshaw in the centre is right now is odds on for the first test. If everyone's fit and it's like this, I would put quite heavy money on that right now.
I wouldn't discount Chris Harris, right?
He's a good player.
Remember, I'm saying this at this stage because everybody's talking, Henshaw's to 13 to accommodate Aki or Farrell. This guy has been picked for a reason, Harris. Why? Yeah. He's a very good defender, and he's got a bit more gas on that outside edge. has hit, that's where they'll eventually get. They'll play pretty forward orientated, one-dimensional, forward carrying, box kicking game. But when that breaks up, they'll want to get to that channel where they got massive gas.
Yeah.
So Harris could be, the bolter, which is the word of the day, for a test. We'll have to wait and see. But certainly Henshaw has been the form centre, hasn't he?
Yeah,
you could say he's been a form player. He's been.
And I can't remember which game it was, but when Harris had to cover.
Yeah, he went end to end, side to side, didn't he?
I can't remember what game it was. I haven't seen it.
It was the France game, wasn't it?
France, it might well have been, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a 13 cover a channel that wide so effectively. It was incredible. And
that's big talk, my friend.
But it was if you look back at some of the replays, though, some of the gaps that he was closing down on his own, they were massive. And he wasn't just putting in ankle tacks. He was when he got there, he was putting in thumps. I'm really impressed by him. I'm really pleased he's been selected. Actually,
isn't it ironic? Somebody sung that once, I'm sure. Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, she did.
Isn't it ironic that George North playing at 13 and Jonathan Davis moving to 12 has potentially cost Jonathan Davis a Lions squad spot?
Yeah.
No disrespect to the other guys. Like his form hasn't been great, but he did pick up form in the Six Nations, his experience and so on. We talked about that 13 channel. George getting injured. Who was that open the door for? Does then Bundyaki come into thinking because Henshaw could play 13? Or was Bundy already in and Harris was one that's benefited from that? I don't know. These are all the things that you'd love to have Warren Gatland on, wouldn't you?
This is where we need the book.
Rose is the big shock, though, isn't it? In that group, which we're probably going to come to at some point. But
we will come to that. Arjun Singh, bigger to start. It's in any other year. See, this is the funny year. It's not just COVID. It's also the fallout from Saracens. So you've got a few players here. Owen Farrell playing championship rugby. He's a test animal. He's a Lions animal. He's been playing championship rugby. Jamie George, we referenced him earlier on. He was not a cast iron certainty for this, for a very similar reason. Maritoji off form. Billy Vunipola doesn't make it. There's an element here which is unlike previous years where you don't say, well, Owen Farrell is the cast iron 10. Dan Bigger is a hell of a player, and against a team like South Africa could easily play his way in. Now, Finn Russell...
That's the big question is, can Gatland stomach Finn Russell? And I don't think he'll ever start Finn Russell. And he's more likely to start him and put him on the bench because Finn Russell isn't the player to bring on just to, defend a 10-point lead when you're out in South Africa.
If Dan Bigger keeps playing the way he's playing, then all those questions are answered.
That's right. Yeah.
Because as good as Finn Russell is and Mercurial and that, he can't do what Dan Bigger does. But Dan Bigger can't do what Finn Russell does. So it depends on the style of game, the consistency of play, who's better coming off the bench. Again, he's a Gregor Townsend style player. Gregor was amazing in 97 at 10.
Yeah.
This isn't 1997 anymore.
No.
This is tight. There's a lot of kicking. There's aerial stuff. That's not Finn Russell's game. 20 minutes to go. We're 6 in the lead or 6 behind. Finn Russell's your man, isn't he? When the game breaks up, if it ever breaks up. So it's going to be a tough one for Gats because there's no doubt Greg is going to be in his ear about Finn Russell, isn't it?
That's
Although
right,
those two have had their issues in the
They've
past.
had a couple of set twos.
But Gats, as I'll reiterate this, has been the best selector. I've worked with a guy and he's pretty immovable on some things.
I think the other interesting thing will be who plays at 9, because if you're picking Murray, then it changes a lot about what you're picking outside, because Murray's very much a box kick. There's no threat to the fringe with Murray anymore. It's either pass out or kick up. So, would Finn Russell want slow ball out there? Is there any point in picking Finn Russell in that channel when it's not going to be zipped out quickly? So
I tell you what, all right, thank God Conor Murray came back to some form.
That's right, because we've been really struggling.
Yeah, well, when I thought the bolter would have been Cooney.
Yeah, I did too.
It
I,
was
I,
there was a definite chance. Now it was
Yeah.
really unfortunate with that injury at the weekend, but there was a chance. Especially, but in a world where Murray came back to form, I think it probably played him out. The outsider here was Price. That's not the lock. And as soon as Ben Youngs announced he wasn't going, I mean that opened the door. Ewan Davis, Leinster got battered physically against La Rochelle on the weekend. Was there a game? I don't remember that.
That's gone from his memory.
Yeah. We're living in the present here in this house. Ryan was part of that pack. It might have counted against thinking how physical this South African pack were. That was referenced as well with the media today. So when you read your papers tomorrow, you're going to see comments like that. Also, when you saw people like Will Skelton had a game for the ages.
Oh my God!
My God, he was incredible.
Like something from Lord of the Rings. He's ridiculous.
He's the perfect example of what you can do with less is more, because there's less of him now, and he's just more of a player, and he was extraordinary. But you didn't see Ryan, and if you were touch and go, you can see how that might have played against. But I think he's gonna get there.
Don't forget now, right? Don't forget. Warren Gatland at first hand has witnessed his team that he prides himself on the physical condition of his teams, right? So at first hand in 2 World Cup semi-finals, has seen his team narrowly beat and probably beaten to a little bit of submission towards the end of games. And I talk about Wales in 2015 and Wales in 2019 World Cups. And if you like, predicted the same for England in the final.
Yeah.
Goading Eddie Jones in the process, but as witnessed firsthand that is in his mind. If we're going to, they will take us to the wire, obviously, or we need to take them to the wire. So he loaded up with 5 huge second rows, physicality, and then a little bit lighter, it looks like to me, in the back row.
Yes. He's got a lot of ball carrying locks in there, hasn't he?
Does. Okay, we've let's get to what we finger in the air said were our biggest surprise ins and outs. So we have this coming up here. So pleasant surprises for Sean Holley, Bundy Aki and Johnny Hill, Paul Williams, Jack Conan and Elliot Daly. McGeady somehow didn't even think about Jack Conan and just said Bundy Aki, Courtney Laws and Johnny Hill. So two for Aki and 2 for Hill. Shock surprises, Bundy Aki and Johnny Hill.
I probably haven't sent Adam my pleasant surprises. My shock surprises are Bundy and Johnny Hill. My pleasant surprises, I'll give you quickly, would be Jack Conan.
Yeah.
That's a pleasant surprise. And
who are you surprised as being out, Sean?
I thought Ringrose would have been in.
Me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I thought Ringrose would have been in, and I thought I hoped and thought Ronan Kelleher would be in.
Really?
Kelleher's a great shout.
I tell you why, because he's a Gats type player. I think he would really fit in with really good players, other players, and revel in it. And I can't. Why have we got 2 England hookers when they finish 5th in the championship?
And he's a good carrier, isn't he, Kelleher?
Kelleher is a really powerful man, super powerful man, and he's dynamic. He could definitely. I would be unsurprised to see him out there as first off the rank for hooker. I think he could get there. James Ryan. We've talked about him a little bit. I also had Kyle Sinclair. Played all 3 tests last time. I'm surprised. I think he's going to be there very soon. But let's talk about some of these. I think the lock one is fascinating. Sean, we both pointed at Johnny Hill. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a bit. It isn't just about Johnny Hill, right? Johnny Hill is a very large human. Okay.
Yeah.
And you will want some of that going to South Africa. I mean, once before Ireland went to tour South Africa, Quinn Roux was picked. Everyone's going, why is Quinn Roux being picked? Because he's an enormous human, and sometimes you just need a massive unit. But then when you look at who else is around it, Alan Wynne-Jones, he's playing. So who are you putting around him? Well, you've got one other dedicated, big lock. Then you've got a lot of versatility here. You've got Ian Henderson, who's more locked than 6 now. I'd be very surprised if we saw him at 6. Courtney Lawes, surprise here is, form, injury. There's a lot of things counting against him, but he's versatile. He can play 4-6, and so can Maro Itoje, so can Tyg Byrne. So there's a lot of options. Sean, if you're a coach, there's a lot of options there, but we still both pointed to Hill as a surprise.
Yeah, I think it's a surprise because everybody's been talking about James Ryan, but you go back to what Paul said, there's no place for sentiment, emotion, past form. If you look at James Ryan recently, really, has he really shown that sort of form? And yet you could say Johnny Hill, week in, week out, does produce for Exeter Chiefs, different level. And I thought he was a little bit of a liability in the Six Nations, discipline-wise. But the boy can play. And I think another thing we're not considering here is Gats needs buffers for midweek games for tests. You know what I mean? There's other games on tour.
Johnny Hill, just midweek buffer.
Yeah, but you are right, though.
But, people who can front up, play midweek, and then still put their hand up for selection alongside Alan Wynne. And if Alan Wynne gets injured or... So there's, I keep going back to all these things and permutations. Gats and his coaching staff would be milling over for 2 years. Pretty much when he's given the job. So, but I still sort of went because when Bundyaki was named, I went Bundyaki. I mean, I get it now at 9:30. I get it why, but at the time he was second off the ramp. And I've gone, Bundyaki, this could be interesting, this selection. And then Hill wasn't much further. And I was like, Johnny Hill?
I had the same reaction, because when you see those names, you're going, because there's a bit of a balance when you're looking at a squad being read out alphabetically, because you're going, I didn't see him coming. And then you're trying to remember, hold on, who might they have missed in my alphabet? And I sort of had absolutely chalked down, and it was. Yeah, I had the same thing. Can
you imagine?
Can we just talk about Johnny Gray for a sec? Because James Ryan's one thing, right? But James Ryan hasn't been in the same form as the Superman that first came through, right?
No.
Johnny Gray has been in terrific form. And Paul, I think it's a little... I know I was taking the piss out of someone who said, look, we should have had another Scott. We've already got 8. But Johnny Gray is a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, he is. But I think, like you say if the Lions struggle in the first test against that box pack, and in the centre, for instance, right? Gatland's given himself the option there of almost picking an entire, in the row and the back row, all hybrids of locks. So he could put a massive back row, everyone over 6'4", everyone a line-out option, everyone 17 stone 5. And the same in the centres, isn't he? If it goes wrong in midfield, it's right, I'll shut this all down. We mightn't score, but nothing is coming through the middle. And he's given himself that option. He's picked a stack of lock 6 monsters, Falatau's an 8-6, Conan can play 8-6, you've got Byrne, you've got Henderson, they can all, Courtney Lawes, he's just a wrecking ball, isn't he? He's only got, like you say, he's only going to make it through 3 months, and then it doesn't really matter.
What we can't get carried away with, right? Look at the stats of the Springboks. It's not like we're going to FIFA from a land of giants. Actually, the physical stats of a lot of their players stack up to this Lion squad.
Yes,
that's right, but they punch above their weight, if not at their weight, above. Bang. Khaleesi's no bigger than Talupe.
No, at all. He's actually
You know?
reasonably light. Do you know,
Yeah.
funny enough, I wrote about it in my first mention of the column.
34
They
minutes. 34
34
minutes for
minutes.
anyone out there.
from last weekend's Rainbow Cup games, and only the Stormers had a pack weight over 900 kilograms, right? And that's because of Malherbe, who's a landmass, not a human, right? And the others were all at 860 kilograms or just under.
Yeah,
And that's pretty light, right, for modern day rugby. But like you say, they punch a lot harder. And it's just a powerful squad. But yeah, I think that James Ryan omission was unusual. But like I say, that's almost my naivety. The same with Ringrose. You just think, oh, they're a marquee player. That that you just think they'll be going, and now they aren't.
It's that Ringrose is if when you look at the centers again, so for the center conversation, you have to also include Owen Farrell if you're having a center conversation. Okay.
Yeah.
So Owen Farrell is your creative 12. And I'm nothing against other guys, but he would be there as a creative and kicking option 12. Bundy and Henshaw can play 12. So you look who's outside. Henshaw can play 13. Bundy can too, but there won't be your creative guys there. Harris, not creative 13. No. Elliot Daly is not what I would call a creative 13 in the mold of someone like a Ringrose. He's a perfect bench player.
That's the thing.
Absolutely perfect. And an end game kicking option.
Yes.
Amazing bench player.
And like you say, he's a midweek guaranteed. He can play pretty much anywhere in the back line. Correct. Bar 9-10. So
and when you've got a small squad like this, to pick a 30, I know we were teased with a 36-man squad. When you've got a 37-man squad, that isn't as big as usual. So you will actually need people to eat minutes, right? Yeah. And I know that seems a bit cynical, but sometimes you just need people to eat minutes because you know who your test animals are after a couple of games. And other times you just want to give them a half. Other guys need to eat minutes wherever they are.
And and in that vein, Andrew Porter falls into that. He can play loose, tight perfectly. I'd imagine that gave him the nod over maybe somebody like Sinclair. So that flexibility you see in some of those players there, it runs through a lot of them.
I like the Porter selection. I think he's been one of the players of the season for me. I've watched him a lot for Leinster, Ireland. Very underrated player. You look at Sinclair, even watching for Bristol Bears, and he's getting penalised in the scrum. That's not a surprise for me. I think Sutherland and Xander Ferguson are good players. I think I'd be interested to see them around. Some of the other guys. I think Johnny Gray's a little bit unlucky. I think I do. I like him, but then again, Gats has been on Lions tours with Courtney Laws, with Ian Henderson. He knows what they're capable of. It counts for a lot, boys. When you've seen somebody literally go to the bottom of their reserve and put their body on the line for you, it's hard not to let go if you know that they're of a mind and physical stature to do it again, and of an age. So. And I'm not that surprised when he named Laws. It's just whether he was fit or not. Hill was a surprise over some of the others for me. And as I say, again in the centre, it is what it is, and I have no issue with it. It's not it's a surprise, but then 12 hours later, I get it. There's a good point for me when Davis here about Johnny May. We think about when he scored in some of those wonder tries. Back in last autumn and then in the Six Nations, you're thinking the guy's a shoe-in because he's X factor and can score from anywhere. So what have they seen in Duam van der Merwe? Well, a try-scoring specimen.
Gatland loves a monster, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but if you're South African, are you thinking, hello?
Who scares you if you're a South African? Okay, the pace of Reece Zammit scares me. Okay, the pace of Hogg scares me. Liam Williams, this all-round ability, he can cause any team problem. That scares me. Josh Adams, he's a super all-round player. It doesn't scare me so much. Van der Merwe, they know how to deal with stuff like that.
Big wings.
Yeah. I'd have a similar thing. Johnny May is one. I haven't seen a huge amount of coverage about Johnny May. in terms of being unlucky. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would tend to agree with you.
I think he has been really unlucky because I tweeted about him earlier. He was one of my big shocks when I saw the squad because he's also, I think, at test level, probably the most improved player of the last 5 seasons because he was regarded as a bit of a headless chicken when he started and you didn't know which way he was going to be running. He was very poor under the high ball and his defense was shaky. And now he doesn't make mistakes like that at all. And I think, like you say, Lewis Rees-Zammit coming on the scene, he's taken that out and out gas position.
Yeah,
you're taking
completely
one
agree.
of those boys. It's him or him, and he's taken Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Anthony Watson is a player I'm really happy to see here because I'm a huge fan. He is smooth all the time, pure smooth. And I think I'm just a big fan.
And he doesn't make mistakes.
What's interesting is normally you look for a little bit of versatility. Liam Williams, wing fullback. Right, hog fullback. Lewis Rees-Zammit plays fullback for Gloucester.
Yeah.
Elliot Daly, that's the one we need to talk about next. But fullback, wing, centre. Watson currently playing fullback for Bath. Yeah. So there's a lot. Daly is a left fielder for some people. I tell you why he's in. One, because he can play wing, fullback, centre. But you think back to those semi-finals, Wales, South Africa. They were lost by a score, right?
Yeah.
Think back to New Zealand, 2017. Daly kicks 60-meter kicks. That's why he's in.
Yeah, he's the halfpenny, isn't he? He's the halfpenny. He's the big boot.
He's a 60-meter kicker that could win you the game or level a game.
Yeah. That's it. Perfect. He's a really, really good bench option. I believe do we have breaking news from South Africa? We have breaking news from South Africa. South Africa's Giants will tower over Gatland's Hobbits. Well, you know what? If you're going to go there, you spell Hobbit right for a start.
Oh, look at McGeady. Don't mess with McGeady.
This is South African shitehousery.
That's such a brilliant put down, Andy. I love that.
Well, you know, that's okay. I'm okay. This is kind of, as long as we're having fun with it, that's fine.
Oh, that's great.
We're all okay with that. We've gone through the back three guys, right? There's a couple of things we haven't touched on here. When we talked about our locks, we didn't talk too much about Tyg Byrne.
Yeah.
Tyg Byrne, not so very long ago, was delivering pizza.
Yeah.
Right? In the last sort of year, we've said this guy's a lock for the Lions. In fact, he could be a starting Lions player, and no one would really bat an eyelid because that's how good his performance has been. But not, he left Leinster, he's like, off you go to Scarlets, literally delivering pizza because he didn't know if he was going to be able to play rugby. I mean, the story like that, Sam Simmons, different but similar. You know, you're told you're a small guy. Well, do you know what? I'm just going to keep playing really well and do what I do. And I just love it. And I think we shouldn't let these things go under the radar. Well done, Tyg Byrne.
Don't plug his column any more than he does, for goodness sake.
Gotta keep it clicks.
That's Steve underscore L15.
It's not, it's Paul Williams.
But you know, Paul is in the post.
Well, and Steve. But
it's Paul Williams.
But there's the other thing with, if you say with Simmons and Conan, they are two players who have largely been overlooked by the nations.
Let's go into the back rows.
You know, they're going to play their guts out, both of those lads.
So let's remind you who's in the back row here. So I'll go from Tom Curry, Talupe Faletau, Sam Simmons, Jack Conan, Hamish Watson, Justin Tipperick. That is a lot of mobility.
Really good back row.
There's a lot of exciting mobile players, and let's pick alternative back rows. Alternative easily, we could have seen two of those. You could have seen no Conan and no Simmons, or no Watson, or even Tipperick. That would have been a shock. And, you know, Josh Navidi in, no one would have been too surprised. Sam Underhill in, you know, okay, coming back, but like Laws. Would you have been too surprised? But like different players.
Yeah, you could have a Billy Vunipola, you know, although you know I wouldn't have. But you know, if he was picked, you wouldn't have been so surprised.
No.
I think the boy Richie from Scotland,
Yeah.
although as good as he is, maybe lacks a little bit of explosive power that Simmons has. So Tipuric has to play for me. He's a point of difference, and I go back to you ask the South Africans who they'd rather not have in their team, and Tipuric would be there. Faletau would be one world class, triple Lions.
Yeah.
This is Toby's fourth tour, isn't it? Did he go in 09?
No.
No,
Third.
Heaslip was there. So
Yeah.
it's third. So triple Lions,
Yeah.
and that counts for a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And still playing really, really well. So it's who plays six? Who plays six?
Curry.
Yeah.
I think
Calling it
Curry.
now.
I'd go Curry. That would be my background.
I think Curry, right?
Yeah.
What might happen?
Everything goes with Curry.
What might happen is Curry might go to 7 and Tadhg or Courtney Laws plays 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could easily happen, and he's going to
Or
be
Simmons plays 8 and Talupe goes to 6.
That's right. Yeah. But I think it'd be good to see Simmons have a run at 8. Talk about a point of difference.
Yeah.
It would be fantastic. And I am just waiting for Gats, who Sean, you're right. I mean, he's an awesome rugby coach, fantastic selector of teams, and when he rolls out innovative midfield of Justin Tipuric, Jack Conan, and Sam Simmons without playing a fly half, just to fuck with everyone's heads.
Right, run those 3 in midfield.
You heard it here first.
You heard it. Those 3.
It's Conor Murray is just there to be kicker and out and scrum half. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to pick our own 15 now, but we're not going to do it in the usual way. We're just going to go around the houses and okay. So we're going to have to pick an actual 15, which means we have to think for a second.
Oh,
okay.
God. I've been not doing this for months and I'm about to do it.
So we're going to do this. We're going to start where matches are actually won. We're going to start in the forwards. We're going to start with the loose head prop.
Oh.
And we're going to go first to Sean. For
Wyn
your
Jones.
start. Wyn Jones. Yeah. Okay, there's a shocker, right? Grand. Wyn Jones, loose head prop. Go across the front row. Mr. Williams.
See, this is going to look like awful Welsh bias, but I would have Ken Owens.
Jesus, I can see where this team is going already.
I'm referring to my team that I picked on live television weeks before. So,
yeah, I would have picked, and then I know exactly who my 3 is, but you're picking the 3.
Okay, I'm picking my 3. My 3 is it's easy. It's Tadhg Furlong.
Yeah,
that's my front row. That no matter where I'm from, that's what I'd be picking.
Okay, grand.
So I'm on 4, yeah.
You're into the locks. So you get go on.
I told you Alan Wyn.
Yeah.
I told you Alan Wyn. Okay. You can, because you picked both of them. Paul, you can pick 2 of the back row, and it's up to you.
I will have Faletau and Tom Curry at 6.
Ooh, so I get 7.
Yeah. I've left a nice one for you.
I want to pick Tipuric. I really also want to pick Watson.
No, just to see him carrying.
Hamish Watson is such a good player to watch, but yeah, do you know what?
Gatland, don't you?
We're gonna go with Tipuric because we don't have Tadhg in this team.
Yeah, for the Jackal.
If Tadhg was in the second row, I think I might go with Watson there.
Yeah,
right.
Because you can. I think you're right.
Let's move on to scrum half.
Not me.
No, we're gonna switch up the order. No, we are. We're going to you, Williams. Scrum half. Call it.
No. Right, this dictates the entire back line. God. Murray.
Okay.
Because Gatland is going to want a box kick and stay out of that middle bit of the field and not concede penalties and try and win them on the 10-meter line. So he's going to box kick it to death.
You're looking forward to the style of rugby already, I see. Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen. We all know. We all know what's coming.
Holly, who's playing alongside Murray in this team?
You have to ask me.
His adopted son.
Dan Bigger at 10 for you, yeah? There you go. Okay, this is going to be an interesting,
Oh, here
very
we go. The
creative.
centres.
Okay, I get one center here, right? So I will go with. Okay, I'm going to pick Robbie Henshaw at 12, so that's where he has to play.
That's fine.
I agree. I
It's
agree.
guaranteed that is. He's definitely
Right.
in there.
So he's playing at 12, right? So you're now picking 13, Williams.
Outside him. And I'm going to go with Harris. Just to lock that midfield down.
Nothing is getting through that midfield.
And then
Nothing.
once that's sorted there, that's a third of the pitch you haven't got to worry about. It's locked.
Okay, I'm okay with this. Holly, we're going to have one. We're going to get one back three each. So it's your choice whether you want to pick wing or fullback first.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with one in the hope that Williams will back me up with another. So I'm going to go Anthony Watson. I'm going to go Anthony Watson on one wing.
On a wing. Okay, grand.
On the wing.
And then I'll pick the other one. I'm going to go for the 100% gas. Lewis Rees-Zammit. You've got to pick that boy. If you're not picking him in the first test, don't bother taking him.
Tag me, Williams. Tag me.
Bush. Yeah, you got
that way, you either.
Oh, sorry. Hang on, I've done it wrong again. There we are. That's really difficult.
So there's an obvious answer here.
Yeah.
Always going to put a cat amongst the pigeons.
I do love me some Liam Williams. But I have to go with Stuart Hogg. Stuart Hogg showed us in the last while. He gave us some performances that were nothing short of sensational.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's easy. Okay, done. Yeah. Okay, we're good. That's our 15. I've no doubt that it will not be the 15 that Gatland picks.
At all.
No doubt.
I tell you one thing. It won't be the 15 for the last test.
No, they'll all be home in hospital in plaster.
It'll be Gavin Hastings, Rory Underwood.
I think,
here's our test team. So let's go back through it. So the under the sticks.
That looks good to me.
Hogg, Watson, Harris, Henshaw, Rees-Zammit, Dan Bigger, Conor Murray. Then in the forwards, Faletau, Tipperick, Curry, Itoje and Alan Wynne, Tadhg Furlong, Ken Owens, and Wynne Jones. All of them are now Paul Williams cursed, says Fionn is a Galway
They all
laddie.
snap their legs now as soon as they get off the plane.
Can we get through? I want to go back to some of the people who didn't make it, right? Because there's actually some names that we have not. We've actually mentioned all of the out names I had. I also have a list of also out. Okay, so Henry Slade, unlucky.
I don't think he is that unlucky.
Okay, can he get out
there? Yeah, he could. I think he'd go for Jonathan Davis over him on a call up. I think he'd be a luxury. He'd be a luxury that's not necessarily needed.
Okay. We're doing this quick fire, right? We've talked about Johnny Keane Healy.
No, past it.
Yeah,
doesn't get out there.
No, I don't think that's a big one.
Okay, we talked about Billy. Danny Kerr.
No chance.
Nah.
You haven't been reading the English newspapers.
But who's been putting that in?
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, who's been putting that out there? It's been ridiculous. I'd have Reece Webb out there before him.
That's the thing.
Okay.
Well, I'd
have Cooney out there.
Yeah, Cooney easily.
George Ford.
No.
I'm
John out there.
I like George Ford.
I do as well. See, I do as well. He was in my he was one of my 310s. I like George Ford.
Sean's face is in pain right now.
He's right.
Insane.
I'll give you a choice. You got a chance to send Johnny Sexton or George Ford out there. It's 1-1. Who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters?
That's
okay, here I'm still going here. Marcus Smith.
That's not
Lot
a
of hype
surprise.
about him as a bolter.
Like it,
Yeah,
like it.
Okay. Sean's not in pain with that one. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Manu Tuolangi.
Talk about an injury risk. He's permanently injured. I mean, he's fantastic when he's fit, but God. I don't think that's a big surprise omission.
No, not a surprise. Could we see him out there?
Yes. If he's
Okay.
fit. But, you know.
But who's in front? Because don't forget, we have a few players in front of him, right?
Well, you got John Davis in front immediately.
Gary Ringrose.
And then you've got Ringrose. So, you know, but looking at that squad, players like Ringrose haven't got a chance anyway. You know, they're all 12 basically.
It is interesting. Okay, folks, if there's any more players you think that we haven't got to, you just shove those in the comments. We will get there. We talked about Keith Carman. We did talk about Johnny Gray. I have been I'm a professional. I've been keeping an eye on my list here, abouts and also out. Right.
I haven't looked at my list. I did it earlier today. Very quickly, anyone we didn't mention for me. Here's one. Oh, we did Kelleher, didn't we?
Yeah.
Josh van der Fleer.
Yeah, he could easily have been part of it.
That's an interesting one. So when you look, actually, he's a player who, before the squad announcement, would you have been entirely shocked to see him in there? Kind of no, right? But seeing the type of players he's picked, there is someone who could get out there.
Yeah, totally.
If he's going to keep the same profile when he's picking out and out sevens because of the versatility he's picked in the locks, there is a player who could get out there. That's a great shout.
Yeah. I tell you another thing is the context and the situation. If it's 1-1 and they need desperately to send for someone, say at 6, right? Reese Ruddock.
Yeah, just fly him in.
Send for Robo Reese.
Yeah, one match.
That would make me very, very happy. Yeah. Like deep down inside, right? You know, where it kind of feels like a sneeze but nicer. That would make me feel very, very nice. Yeah.
Ross Moriarty also falls into that bracket as well. Yeah. Just bringing in a bazooka, and then just to do something mental for 80 minutes.
This is what Lions does, isn't it? So many things.
I love it.
We've got some names here coming in. A couple of people calling for a wild card here. Cameron Redpath as a wild card.
Oh, good player.
He's a lovely
good player. Probably about 6 months too early in terms of number of games. Literally that much. Mike Halliday, 67. Cameron, I mean that's not a bad. I mean Ryan Baird.
Bit too soon in it for these. The next 4, they'll be. Can
I say something here with Baird? Right. Think of all of the lock 6 has been chosen, and we have an injury, a couple of injuries very quickly. Right. Yeah. That would be interesting. Ollie Hughes, if any back row goes down, Navidi's in. I have a lot. I think you could be.
I'd have said Navidi's at the top of that reserve list.
Fiona's a Galway laddie. Hugo Keenan, smooth as silk, fullback. Yeah, we could like that. Ross Cahill, Ruddock, man, yes, what a beast. He'd do a job. He'd do a job. He just
love Ruddock.
He could do. We do love him on this pod, yeah. Niven Rennie, this is so one-eyed Welsh.
No, it's not. It's not one-eyed Welsh. We're the reigning Six Nations champions.
That's not helping his point. Actually, it's not competing with his point.
Are we picking on form, or should we just go for? Should we pick Willie John McBride?
I'm still scandalized. I'm scandalized that Brian O'Driscoll hasn't made this squad, as you know.
Oh God.
Ewan Davies, Keith Earls, someone we talked about. Keith Earls is a fantastic player. He is not making it over any of those
I just
players.
Mentioned Josh van der Fleer and Reese Ruddock and Cooney. How was this Welsh one-eyed?
And Kelleher.
Right. We've drained this squad and a lot of players around it. We need some highlights of some of the players who the Lions will be playing against, because we did have Rainbow Cup matches last weekend.
Good rugby too. I really enjoyed last weekend.
It was good, and we
Really good.
We had our first 20-minute red cards.
Yeah,
Two of them, and you know I love that. You know I love that. Stormers and Sharks, Paul. We did watch some of this. What did you think?
I thought it was fantastic. The first game was stunning. And like, what was weird is even with the 2 red cards, they only just lost. But it was a fantastic game. There was loads of nice line breaks, really good offloading. It was a really entertaining game. It was a great first opener.
It looked good as well.
Oh yeah, the weather, isn't it? It's fast games, aren't they?
Really fast.
And I tell you what, it's sort of a contrast to the national team a little bit, isn't it?
It is.
So how it'd be interesting to see when eventually our boys play these guys at this level, what their defenses are like, really. The Stormers, and
that was a bad, yeah.
So there's the Sonatla red card, right? And that's worth spending a minute again, right? So this was our first. It was after 12 minutes or almost 13. Cast iron red. Completely botched it. He's now the decision came out today from the disciplinary panel. He's been given a 4-game ban. I don't think that's in any way surprising, but there was fuss afterwards because this was our first 20-minute red, which is one of the trial the innovation trials, and then they're back to 15. Now, actually, what happened was they had another player yellow carded. And then the same yellow player Engelbrecht got yellow carded later in the game for the same thing. This is fascinating because you could argue in the Northern Hemisphere he'd have been sent off for the first yellow.
Yes.
And the second yellow has now been rescinded by the disciplinary panel, and the red card is now expunged from his record. Yeah. So, interesting week for young master number 8 Engelbrechts, but we did have the 2. We had 2 red cards and 2 yellows in that game. There was a
lock scoring a hat trick.
Yes,
that was incredible. My favourite bit of the match though was just the 2 fullbacks, Williams and Fassi. Fassi is like proper red hot talent. He's like sort of Charles Pietau level. Awesome player to watch.
Let's wait until we see a matchup
against Leinster,
against some of our teams. I mean,
I loved that try. By the way, sorry to cut across you, Sean, but that try with the cross kick and tapping it back into play was beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah, it's really good rugby on show.
Yeah, it's great.
And what I loved about it all is having been a Super Rugby sycophant for a lot of my life. For them to be part of our rugby diet now is amazing. So they're like watching Sia Khaleesi, and it's not, it'd be great when we see him in 2 years. It's, oh my God, we might see him now in like 4 months playing in Cardiff. It's brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. Made me think totally differently about the league and what it's about to become.
It'd be interesting to see them in Galway or Swansea in November.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hold on. Are you pulling the they can't do it on a Tuesday night in Stoke?
No, I commented on a game where the Cheetahs at Neath beat the Ospreys and deservedly so and played a different style of rugby. It's not all about that, but they won't be playing that stuff in in a wet and windy Galway in December.
No.
So it was good. It was good. So wait till you see the Dragons play on those fast tracks.
Dragons are on the up.
Tell you what, that could actually happen. Dragons backline of firing.
But it was good because you're looking at the Sharks, like hell of a comeback. They were 23-7 down and they won 33-30. It was a good game to watch.
Oh, he was being serious.
Producer Adam insists he's been serious. Okay. So that was. Then we had another game later on the night. So the Bulls won 22-9. Different kind of game. There was a really nice moment in this when we talked about some of the innovation trials, where and I'm having brain cramp now. Who was the fullback, former Sevens player, and he took the ball behind his line, and instead of dotting down because it had been a really long kick from the opponents, he sidestep the onrushing player
That's right.
to
Yeah.
put in a clearance kick.
Yeah.
And you're going, holy mother, I haven't seen that happen in a long time.
That's old
What's going
school,
on?
yeah.
Is this like Michalak? No, it's because, and the commentators were smart. They picked it up because they're going, yeah, well, if he just dotted it down, which is what you usually do, it isn't a 22 dropout.
No.
It's a goal line dropout.
You might as well
That's
blast
22
it.
meter. You might as well have a go. It changes the incentives. It was a really interesting bit. I loved it. Not as entertaining a game. But
No,
it
it wasn't as
really good
entertaining
to
a
watch.
game. I think what was really interesting in that second game, though, was there was a really cool use of a dummy maul, which I haven't seen an awful lot of up in the Northern Hemisphere. You see it now and again. So I can't even remember who it was, but they sucked in like a load of defenders, like ants on a wine gum. And then once they'd come in, it was a lovely little pass in the middle of the maul, straight out to the back. It was beautiful. And some of the maul defense was really good as well, in terms of like a really low defensive wedge. Did you see that, Sean? They were coming in all collectively, bang, really low.
Down,
under the waist, and it was almost just like they weren't taking it down illegally, but it was like a concerted in one homogenous lump, bang, and it was really effective. So that was something I haven't seen an awful lot of the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Question for you. With the selection of Johnny Hill, it got me thinking this afternoon, as sometimes I am wont to do when I'm doing something else that I really should be thinking about. And we've seen so much of the pre-contact latch, especially around the goal line. And now around the goal line, we're seeing there's one player latched and there's one player coming in, timing the hit. So technically he's not, but I've seen two players latched before contact, right? We've all seen it.
Yeah.
If World Rugby in the next month issued an immediate diktat to the referees saying that the pre-contact latch anywhere in the field is now illegal, who is more impacted? Alliance Pack featuring a number of big Exeter players, or the
Exeter?
I think both. I really do. I think it's becoming a common.
Everyone does it, don't they?
Trend close to the line, because you can isolate a defender, mismatch, overload, whatever you want to call it. So I think it'll affect. I think it'd make for a better spectacle. I really do. I think you're going to have to move the ball, shift the ball a little bit more. So and it would require some quite innovative thinking in and around that sort of 10-5 meter, because I've noticed, and even since the Six Nations, there's been some really good approach play by teams. They get to 5 meters out, and then the game slows down where they congregate and try and smash over, rather than go for that quick ball. So, and of course, the health and safety implications, isn't it? If you come into you're encouraging me to tackle low on my own line.
Yep.
And you send in 3 guys at me. Doesn't matter if I tackle low, high, side on, upside down. I'm going to get bloody hurt, don't I?
That's right. Yeah, that should be the next thing they look at immediately.
Owen Doyle wrote about it. Owen Doyle, former Test referee, he wrote about it this week in the Irish Times, and I was glad to see it because I've banged on about it for a while. And he picked up a couple of examples. And here's a good example of this. So I'm going to quote the Owen Doyle piece. In Bath versus Montpellier, and this would have been last weekend, referee Andrew Brace penalised a defender for tackling the latcher, not the ball carrier. So I think there's a very good argument to be made that that's completely fine, because
he is part of the ball carrier.
You're part of the ball carrier now. The ball carrier has 4 legs, and you should be able to tackle that player. I think it's an interesting area. I have no doubt they will have to look at this, and never mind the
little secret. I used to coach strip the latcher, right? So it's funny, if you imagine you've got a guy carrying the ball and you've got a latcher either side of him, or even just one, you strip that latcher and sort of pretend to go and tackle the ball carrier, but then another guy takes the latcher out. Invariably, that ball carrier falls to the ground. So we used to call it, concede. We started calling it concede, where we'd put Marty Holler or Tipperick in the boot, if you like, behind the defensive line. The boys on the edge would look to tackle the ball carrier, but they'd strip the latcher. The ball carrier would fall to the floor, and Holler or Tiprick would go on the ball.
Nice.
Referee started picking up on the term concede, so we started calling it smash him. So the boys be going smash him, as if we're going to smash the ball carrier, but take the latches away. Ball carrier fall to the floor. Jackal, thank you very much. Turnover, and he'd use it on that 5-10 meter line. I think I've just given a secret away there, but no, I'm pretty sure the coaches, coach that, and obviously so if Andrew Brace has penalised it,
That's interesting. And is that also then, so there are bodies in between the carrier and they are potential cleaners? So there's a
that's the one. So if that's the danger.
Debris on the floor.
Let him go. Let the ball carrier go. Just take the guys on the outside out, because he's either going to be isolated for your tackle jackal, or he falls to the floor and you're straight on him.
Straight on him. Well.
You think of the angle he's carrying, right?
Yeah.
CGM 55 asks, where are the test refs coming from? If they are French instead of Southern Hemisphere, it could make a huge difference. I don't think they've been announced yet.
I never do.
Yeah. Is there a comment there about Hugo Keenan again? Hugo Keenan has been remarkably consistent for Ireland, but in a very Luke Dempsey. Keenan's been one of the most consistent performers the last 12 months. Anyone think he could have been chosen? If you're looking, he fits the profile, but I don't think Adams is the only one he might say and he's a different kind of player.
Yeah. Next time round.
Yeah.
Good player. Really good player.
Really nice footballer.
Good comment in from someone here. Darren Kay. Hendricks has turned into a serious 12. Yeah, I enjoyed watching that. So Cornell Hendricks.
Yeah, he's moved in there really well, actually. Isn't he? I was quite surprised by that.
He's better than that one-trick pony ball carrying 12 Gatland, isn't he?
Well, I've been sticking up for Gatland, Sean, as you know, since his arrival.
Oh, sorry, just that rubby nose in it. He's been great, isn't he, Gatland?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he really has.
I think that is going to be where we wrap this up, but not before I remind us of the fixtures coming up this weekend. So we do have Rainbow Cup Rugby this weekend to look forward to. So the 7th, 8th and 9th, Friday night. Friday, I like these times actually because I can knock off work a bit early, stick the kids in front of their dinner. Daddy has the TV on in the background. So if my wife's listening, Zebra against Benetton. 6 p.m. Ireland time, 7 p.m. local. Munster against Ulster, though, 8:15 p.m. Thomond Park. Glasgow against Edinburgh, 8:15 also. On to Saturday, lots of Rainbow Cup on Saturday. We have the South Sea Sharks against the Emirates Lions. That's 3 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. South Africa. DHL Stormers against the Vodacom Bulls, 5:15 p.m. UK time. Same Saturday, Connacht against Leinster. That's at the Sports Ground, 7:35. Scarlets Ospreys at Parky Scarlets, 7:35 also. And then Sunday afternoon rugby, Cardiff Blues play Adam Redmond's Fast Track Dragons. Cardiff Arms Park, 1 p.m. So that's what we have. That was our slightly later than advertised episode of Under the Sticks this week. We didn't actually plan to go out tonight, honestly, it just happened. So thanks very much for giving us your time this evening. Or if you're listening back, we've really enjoyed talking through some of the Lions squad today, and we hope that we did not drag it out too much. Thank you, Paul Williams. Thank you, Sean Holley. Thank you, Andy Redmond, behind the scenes. That was Under the Sticks, brought to you by Pro 14 Rugby. My name is Andy McGeady. We'll talk to you soon.
They call me cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. Ooh, cheetah, cheetah, cheetah. I love my cheetah.